Hi everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. Boy, it's been a while that I've been talking. Well, has it been a while? Yeah, that I spoke about this particular bag. It's been a while. It's been quite a while. But a lot of you have been asking me because, first of all, what bag is this? It's the Chanel Timeless Classic Small Caviar Leather Gold Hardware. Many Chanel boutiques do not carry it or don't order it. It's the size small, basically. It's a double flap, so it's just one step above a single flap, extra small, square or rectangular. Or mini, you could call it. Not extra small, mini. This is the small double flap. And a lot of you have been asking me, Dacob, how's the wear and tear with this bag? What's been happening with this bag? Should we purchase this bag? Should we not get it? Should we get it in lambskin or not lambskin? Caviar or not caviar? What color? Hardware, gold or silver? I love this bag to pieces. This bag holds a very special place in my heart. Let's begin from the beginning. I purchased this bag right before the huge Chanel price increase, which was in April of 2015. Yes, 15. So now this bag is over 3 years old, believe it or not. It's been partially kind of the last present my father gave me before he passed. Well, after he passed, it's kind of like a posthumous present. It's part of, it's a long story. It's very emotional, so I don't want to get too much into that, but that's why this bag is very special to me. I take extra good care of this one. I do of all of my bags, but this one has that memory attached to it as well. And it was my first classic Chanel bag. I mean, the GS, the Grand Shopping Tote Extra Large is not a classic anymore because it's been discontinued. I consider it a classic, but this is kind of the first icon bag that's within the icon selection of the Chanel bags in my collection. And I love it. And I would purchase it again, given the chance, in another color or another material. I would get it again in lambskin. It's a little miracle bag because unlike any other Chanel bag ever, this is the only size, and I've made a video on this topic. If I remember, I'll put it in the description box down below. This is the only Chanel bag that has ever received a price decrease, not increase. That's insane. Like in euro, it was over, after many price increases, it was over 4,000 euro. And then Chanel brought it down to 3,900 euro just to kind of make the difference between this one and the medium a bit bigger because they were too close in price and people weren't buying this one apparently. But this is the best bag in my opinion of the four. Between this, the medium, the jumbo, and the maxi, this one takes the cake for me from the Timeless Classic double flaps. So to answer many of your questions, or most of you have the same question asking me, how's the wear and tear after so many years? Of course, I'm using it gently. I'm never overstuffing it. So for those of you who purchase this bag to wear it on a daily basis all the time, come rain, come, sunshine, snow, whatever have you, humidity, dryness, that's not my case. I take really good care of this bag. So I cannot tell you after 3 years how the wear and tear is on this bag because I did not use it on a daily basis. I use it for special occasions. And I don't use it when it rains. And I know caviar leather is quite resistant to rain, but I don't know if the kind of the gold toned hardware is very resistant to rain. So I just don't wear it when it rains. And I like to keep it small because in case I am out and about and it starts raining, I usually have like a plastic bag somewhere in my pocket or elsewhere. And usually I have two bags. This one I can put it on now for you to show you how I wear it. Let me just pull the chain. So this one goes as a crossbody. This is basically kind of, usually I would also have like a hoodie or something on, and then it occupies even more space, and then it would be there. But now it hangs a bit more because I only have a shirt on. But you can imagine, like, that's how I wear it. I also, actually, when I wear it like a shirt, like with a shirt like this, I also like to wear it like a necklace. Bigger, it wouldn't work. You know, this is already borderline necklace-wise, but love this bag so much. So, and usually I would have another like tote with me or something that, you know, can get scratched and bumped around. And inside, I would have a plastic bag ready to cover this one up in case it starts raining. So for wear and tear, you got to bear in mind that I recommend protecting them from water. I know a lot of you have been writing me that nothing happens when they, you know, get into water, but I don't want mine to get into water. Now, I like to keep them small for another reason, because that way it's easier to protect them. You see, they should never kind of go wider than your body frame, so that it's easier to protect them from bumps on the edges and the corners, because that's where most Chanel bag, well, all bags, usually they kind of get all their usage on these corners and edges. And usually it happens with the jumbos because they're huge, the chain is super long. I hate the length of the jumbo chain. What I do is I usually pull it inside and kind of tie it with a little knot, with a little thread, so that I shorten the chains, because I really think that it's the most obnoxious length. It just doesn't fit anybody, really. You got to be a giant to have that length work for you. But usually the jumbos, because they're so big and the chain is so long, they kind of keep bumping into places, and then you get these kind of scratches there. But this one, because it's so tiny and I can always protect it really nicely, it's perfect. Now I'm going to try to come in as close as possible so that you could see the edges. But I won't talk while I'm doing it because I'm going to be off my mic. But anyway. Actually, maybe I can talk. I'm close to the mic, but I'm too close maybe to the mic. So you could see how all of these edges are perfect, pristine, just like new. Gosh, I love this bag so much. Now, despite the fact that I haven't used it on a daily basis, still, after 3 years, certain materials, if they're not of good quality, they start deteriorating. It's just a natural, you know, process of decay. Like our bodies, the older we get and the more we fall apart, it's just normal. So it would be also normal that a bag like this with time, you know, starts degrading. Now, 3 years is not a long time for a bag, but it could already show signs of some sort of use. You know, it could be drying out, maybe some glues, because I'm sure they also use some sort of glues here as well, not just stitching the bag together. But I have to say, nothing has changed color. Everything is wonderfully tight, and I keep the original basically tissue it came with. When I don't use it, when I store it, I always put its Chanel tissue paper inside. And the trick that I use, desiccants, desiccants, desiccants. These little balls, these little desiccants everywhere to protect them from humidity on the inside. Most Chanel bags, when you don't use them on a regular basis and you keep them stored, and I keep mine stored in its original microfiber kind of little pouch that says, you know, that has Gabrielle's face on it, Chanel's face, and then Karl Lagerfeld's signature. And then I put that in a nylon bag. And I know a lot of you say, Dacob, don't do it. You got to air your bags. Yeah, I take them out at least once a week. I air them, but I like to keep them protected. Now, just to avoid like a condensation of humidity within these plastic bags, or even if you don't keep it in plastic bags, if you just keep it in its own kind of cotton dust bag, the inside of Chanel bags are very delicate, and those are the ones that can kind of degrade the fastest if you don't use your bag. A lot of people kind of just seal their bags, leave them in the closet, and then like 5 years later, you know, they open them up and like a part of the bag sticks to the other part of the bag. Now that, of course, usually happens if you have patent leather bags, but this burgundy or Bordeaux leather on the inside is a different consistency. It's a different type of leather than the Caviar. And these two pockets here, well, this one pocket here, but these two bits of leather, like sometimes this part can stick if it's too humid with time, if you don't use it. Also, very, very delicate, the back pocket. This leather inside, in this case, I have burgundy leather in there. The first couple of months, or let's say in the first year, I didn't realize this. And I started doing it after I realized it. If the bag would be in its protective little cage for, let's say, a month, and I would air it, but I would forget to kind of just detach, just to put, you know, just my hand inside of the pocket or whatever. It would make like this kind of like noise, like the sound, as if the pocket were kind of glued to the back. It wasn't, but it made that like that kind of detaching sound. It doesn't make that anymore. Why? Because now when I store this bag, you know that they come with that little microfiber kind of rectangular pouch glove that you can put on your hand to kind of massage them. So what I do is when I store it, I just slide in the back. So it's very, very thin, so it doesn't stretch the leather at all. I slide in that glove and I leave it in there. And then I kind of just bend it forward over the top here, so that whenever I slide out that glove, the back pocket is completely dry, pristine. It does not attach to the back of the bag at all. Everything stays super clean and new and fresh. So that's a secret tip to definitely consider if you're storing your bag a bit longer without using it night and day, you know, all the time. So I guess this wear and tear video is kind of an interesting video for those of you who, you know, either because you've worked really hard and you earned the money to buy your, you know, that one dream bag that you wanted. And of course, you don't want to just use that bag. You want to also treasure it and cherish it and use it for special occasions. You also need to know that by not using the bag gets wear and tear from non-usage. So it's good to know these tips. It's good also to, you know, to protect it when you're not using it. I know this sounds in a way crazy, but you got to protect your bags also when you're not using them. And by this, I also mean how you store it. I keep this one as high as possible from the ground because you never know. If there's some leakage in the house or whatever, there's a flood, you just want to keep the bag as high as possible. Not too close to the wall. Detach it from the wall. Walls can bear humidity. Keep it as central to the room as possible, in the center of the room, and keep desiccants inside of it. Don't let the desiccant touch the leather itself. You could, but I don't do it. I usually put the desiccant in between the paper, the tissue paper. So it's somewhere, the little desiccant pouches are kind of like floating in the paper itself. I don't touch the leather with them. Also, I always keep this little felt bit between the two flaps because, you know, the Chanel brand, for whatever reason, and I'm really not liking that, they have these like zippers that dent into the upper flap, into the second flap. So I always put this little felt. You could just get any felt, but just don't get anything plasticky. I mean, this was the original felt that came with the bag. Sometimes it doesn't come with the bag. You can't just, you know, because a lot of you tell me, oh, Dacob, but you got this. I didn't get it when I bought my bag. Not every Chanel boutique gives you these things. So it is what it is. You know, sometimes they just take them out, throw them away, and then they just keep the bags stored in their dust bags and they throw away all these other pieces. Some sales associates do that. You know, there's no regulation. There's no real regulation on how all of these extra bits are supposed to be given to you when you purchase a Chanel bag. I mean, you need to get that when you purchase a classic iconic Chanel bag. They need to give you the white kind of microfiber bag in different shapes and sizes according to the bag. But all these other felt bits, sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. So, but if they're not, you could buy some felt. Just be sure to kind of try to find a felt that's not plastic. This one feels really like wool. It's not wool. This is also acrylic. But it's very, very soft. And it's not sticky. There's nothing kind of chemical in it that would, you know, there's nothing that with time would start melting. You got to be careful. So you see, I use it also to separate these two flaps, the top flap from the bottom flap. And I keep this zipper detached from the lower flap. So if we now, after 3 years, if I come in close and show you the upper side of the interior second flap, the zipper is always here, it's always closed. You can see that there's no dent there, or almost no dent. I'm trying to catch all light angles so you see it kind of as good as possible. I have to deliver some bad news. Are they bad news? I don't know. Human beings are usually, we are creatures that are we get used to things. Routine is kind of something that makes us feel safe, and we like our routine, even though sometimes routines are kind of damaging to our health. This particular routine is, I love this type of caviar leather. Chanel doesn't do this type of caviar leather. Most of you have already noticed that most prominently visible is the new type of caviar leather on the minis, or on the extra smalls, whatever you want to call them, rectangular minis and square minis. When they come in caviar leather, the pebbles are really, really tiny and beady and pointy, and they look like plastic. That type of caviar is kind of, if it hasn't already completely, it's kind of also passing on to the iconic models as well. And I don't like that new caviar. I don't like the look of it. I don't like the feel of it. It feels and looks plasticky, and the tiny pebbly grains, they just... But again, I'm used to seeing caviar like this from 80s Chanel, 90s Chanel, you know. So to me, that's more iconic. I don't like the new type of caviar. So that's the bad news I'm delivering. Most luckily, if you buy a small from here on out, even a medium or a jumbo, most luckily, sooner or later, all the caviar is going to become the little tiny grainy caviar that they also do on their minis or extra smalls. So to me, that's not a good thing. But hey, maybe Chanel made their caviar even better now. You know, maybe I just need time to get used to the new aesthetic, the new touch, the new feel of it, and the new smell, because it doesn't really have that expensive, luscious smell. Which brings me to the smell of this one. When we talk about wear and tear, and you know I love my perfumes, to me, wear and tear enthralls also talking about smell. I love the smell of iconic Chanel leather bags. There's nothing like it. The 255 aged calfskin leather smell is to die for. The way the caviar leather is treated, I know they're treated like tanks, so this is kind of more robust, but it still isn't treated so much to annihilate the original smell of the leather. This one has the most incredible leather smell. And after 3 years of using it and also storing it and using it and storing it, that smell is intact. It's still there. And this to me is a huge testament to the quality of the bag, because, you know, a lot of cheaply, poorly produced and made bags, all of the chemical components of the bag, the glues, the resins, all of those extra things hidden inside the bag that keep the bag together, sooner or later, their smell and their chemistry takes over whatever bit of leather was in the bag. But when a bag is well made, you don't have those smells taking over. This one, after 3 years and a couple of months, still smells like that luscious, rich, pebbly leather that I'm used to from Chanel. It's just, it's incredible. And I've said on my Instagram, Super Dacob, all spelled together, you could, if you scroll really down, a couple of months ago, I made a post on like how I would envision a new fragrance by Chanel. It would be, you know, the pure perfume of 255, number 255, the smell of the 255 bag, or the smell of a Caviar Chanel iconic double flap timeless classic bag. That would, to have that as an essence of a perfume is just insane. It would be incredible. I love smelling and sniffing my bags. Had this bag lost its original smell, I would respect it less. I have to admit, because part of me loving this bag is not just its shape and its history, but it's also its smell. I also purchase things, I mean, on top of all the other reasons, also for the smell of it, because the smell brings with it a whole idea of a dream, of a vision. It kind of sets the tone. It's like a soundtrack, you know. This bag doesn't make music. Well, it does, actually. You know, I made also an ASMR video with Chanel bags and Chanel chains. You can check that out too on my channel. But kind of when you have your bag, you know, and you open it and you want to look inside of it, that smell, that's a soundtrack. It's an olfactory soundtrack. It's a fragrant soundtrack to the story you're living, to the dream you're living. And these bags are like a dream. I mean, yes, they are overpriced, but once you have one, you try to forget about the fact that you spend all that money on them, and you try to envision rather the story that it tells you while it's with you, and the stories that you could kind of tell while you have these bags with you. And that's why I also say, you know, be careful. You don't, you know, most people buy these bags for all the wrong reasons. Don't buy them to show off that you have money. Don't buy them to show off that you have a double C logo on them. My favorite Chanel bag is a 255 reissued that doesn't even have the double C on it, you know. But since a lot of you have been asking me to do a wear and tear review on this one in particular, that's why I'm doing it now. But if you're going to buy a Chanel bag, really, please do me and yourself, especially yourself, a favor. Study a little bit the history of Coco Chanel, of her heritage, of what that woman was all about, what her designs were all about, because the love of this bag, or the love for this bag, should not be connected to showing off a double C. Because that, you know, YouTube loves to use the word cringeworthy. And it's so easy to say, oh, that's so cringeworthy. Heck, I get criticized all the time. You know, if I make like a more critical video towards society or what's going down, a lot of people just tell me, they just kind of cut my legs off and say, well, how dare you have an opinion about something serious? You're just a boy with the likes bags. Yeah, I'm more than that. You know, this is just one of my pleasures in life, but I get criticized for it a lot. Whatever. You know, trolls and haters are just lovers in disguise. That's what we always say. But just, if you're going to get a bag like this, and if you're going to invest all that money in it, be sure to get it for the right reasons. And the right reasons are always connected to your own history, to something that has to do with you intimately. Don't get it to show it off to the world. Because if you're going to get it to show it off to the world, it already belongs to the world. It's not yours anymore. What I just said is a very delicate topic. It's kind of hard to explain. You have to really feel it and understand it. To show something off means it belongs to the world. It's not yours anymore. Try to understand it. I know most of you will get it. If you don't get it, that's fine too. We're going to get back to this topic over and over and over again. And there's a lot to say about it. But for now, that will be the wear and tear on this one. Yes, it's a beauty. Would I repurchase it? Yes, but not in Caviar again, because if the Caviar turns out to be that tiny, tiny, mini pebbly Caviar that Chanel is doing now, then no, I don't want it. So that means that I would repurchase this one in lambskin leather. And if you're going to ask me whether or not lambskin leather or Caviar leather, which one is better or not, well, I made a video on that topic as well, and I'm telling you, don't be so scared of lambskin leather. It's way more resistant than you think. Long term, lambskin is more resistant than Caviar, in my modest opinion. If you're buying the bag and you're just kind of like, you know, boxing your way through the day with it, when the bag is new and fresh, Caviar might be more robust for you, but long term, lambskin ages so elegantly. Even if it gets a little bump in the road, a little scratch, this and that, you could buff out the scratches most of the time on lambskin. That patina that a lambskin gets, Caviar doesn't get. Caviar doesn't get that patina that lambskin can get. And lambskin is really, really gorgeous when it gets old nicely. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you like this video. I hope I have delivered any sort of practical information for you and that I've answered, at least in part, some of your questions. If you like this video, please do thumb it up and let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you have any further questions, just ask them in the comment section down below as well. I'm also on Patreon if you wish to support the channel and see more videos and tutorials like this, because in a way it was also a tutorial. You know, the more independence I have and the more time I have to shoot these videos and the more videos I will shoot. So Patreon is something that really helps. And for those of you who have pledged already, thank you so much. It really means the world to me. I am Super Dacob, all spelled together on Patreon. But if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel here on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So guys, for the love of xoxo, because even though she's long gone, her spirit is always with us. We never give up on love. Love you guys. See you soon. Take care. Bye. Mwah.